Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Boleros. It's just me, Gab, and Maui. Say hi, Maui.
Hello, hello. Welcome back.
Yes, Sammy's not here. He has a lot of work to do, so he won't be joining us today. But rest assured, he will be joining us for some future episode. But today, you might have seen it from the title, we're going to cover the recent Southeast Asian Games, particularly the semis and the finals. The crown is back with the Philippines. The Southeast Asian Games crown is back with the Philippines. We won the gold, winning over Indonesia in the semis and Cambodia in the finals. So we're gonna tackle this one game at a time. We'll start with the semifinals versus Indonesia, where we won a close game, a very tightly contested game. And before I get your thoughts, Maui, I do want to preempt this by saying I think this was one of the worst games that Gilas played ever. Despite the win, despite us winning, I thought this was one of the worst games played by Gilas Pilipinas. So Maui, what do you say to that?
Honestly, watching the game on YouTube, shout out dun sa nagcast. I heard he got 100K subscribers because of the casting of the Philippine games, the
Oo.
Southeast Asian games. But to be frank about it, kala ko talaga I was very nervous. You said it, Gab. I think the Philippines played poorly. If you watch the game, the execution was
So
very bad.
poor.
It was against Indonesia, the team that beat us during the last Southeast Asian Games. To be honest, I'm just thankful that we were able to win that game. I was talking to some of my basketball friends. We thought baka ito na yung time na hindi maka-medal Philippines because of the way they were playing. And to be honest, I was shocked. And and I'm very thankful that Justin Brownlee literally put us in his back and won us that game. I think he
Parang
scored
Hinebra lang yung Pilipinas, di ba? Parang
parang
Hinebra lang eh.
Ginebra, parang
Binuhat tayo ni
Ginebra.
JB.
I think he scored 15 points no fourth quarter.
Yeah, he did.
Array of all baskets, driving, hitting some crucial three-pointers. Thank you to Justin Brownlee. Parang, to be honest, parang di siya talaga, hindi siya naturalized player. He's playing like a local. He really thinks that he's a local. And he is, I think, a local.
Yes.
I think, Gab, you mentioned this in one of our conversations. Kung may game na puso shot Reyes before, ito talaga yon. Nadala lang sa puso ni Justin Brownlee.
Kasi walang tactics na nangyari, Mau. Talagang pinuso lang ni Justin Brownlee na buhatin yung
Pinuso ni
Pilipinas.
Justin Brownlee. It was very poorly. And later we'll get into the finals game. And buti na lang nakalusot tayo nung game against Indonesia.
All right. Thank you, Mau. Great thoughts, no? Same tayo. So I think I do have to cite my reasons why I said this is one of the worst games that Gilas played. So, if any of you watched, and it looks great on paper, diba? As a headlines, Justin Brownlee binuhat ang Pilipinas to the finals against Cambodia. But if you actually watch the game, I think you would agree also this is one of the worst games that Gilas played. So just some of my observations now. You can react anytime. Our offense was pretty damn ugly. I think you would agree. It was pretty damn ugly. It was mostly just give the ball to Justin Brownlee on the wing and just let him play out. Just let him drive, take a jump shot, take a three-pointer. And then just all four other players just watch Justin Brownlee. I think you would agree. Diba?
Yeah.
That was mostly the offense. Especially in the fourth quarter. Give the ball to Justin Brownlee and just let him cook. Actually, nagulat nga ako, Mau, na hindi naubos si Justin Brownlee. I don't think he was subbed out ng second half.
Parang hindi
Nitong game na to.
Parang hindi nga. Especially since during the game against Cambodia, 'di ba, yung initial game ng Philippines, Southeast Asia, nag-cramp up siya to the point that they had to use tawag dito, yung fan na na gamit kamay. Ganong levels na na dehydration.
Nagpamaypay na sila.
Pamaypay. Tsaka yung electric fan na hawak. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. So that was my first point. No, our offense was just terrible. Um, for there was barely any movement on offense, and my second point, also on offense, there's barely any shooting, Mau, on this team, which points me to the lack of preparation. Parang, anong pinag-iisipan ni Coach Chot and the coaching staff and the management of putting this team together? There was barely any shooting on the floor at all times. I think we made our run in the fourth quarter coincidentally because Coach Chot decided to put back Marshall Lassiter on the floor. Which to me was a duh. He's your only shooter. Put him back in. Kasi if you watch, if anyone watched the game from the first quarter to the third quarter, we were having a hard time scoring because every time we would drive to the basket, Indonesia would just pack the paint. They really don't care about our other guards because none of the guards could shoot except for Jerome Lastimosa. He was the only shooter on the floor. Coach Chot was playing Newsom and Perez at the same time, and even Chris Ross. These guys are not knockdown shooters. Why are you playing them at the same time? Sobrang hirap na hirap si Justin Brownlee from the first and the third quarters. And even our other big men, si Stan Hardinger. Because yun nga, every time they would drive to the basket, Indonesia would converge in the paint. And kahit na ma-kick out kila Perez, kila Newsom, alam ng Indonesia that these players are not gonna shoot the three. As in, if you watch closely, they were closing out, anticipating them to drive. They weren't fully closing out to contest the shot because they knew that the Philippines was gonna try to get in the paint. At yun, it's a boneheaded rotation decisions, gago. And we'll get to this point later, but I question why Mason Amos was not being used in this game.
Especially since he needed shooting, di ba?
Di ba? Yun nga eh. We made our runs just so happened when Arvin Tolentino and Jerome Lastimosa are on the floor because they were guys that can shoot. They were guys who hit, I think Jerome hit 2 threes or 3. I forgot how many. But he was a threat because they weren't closing out on shooters. So, diba, in-game adjustments were pretty bad for this game. Like rotation decisions, I really don't get it. And third point, so I'm taking over this now. I'm sorry. My third point is yung defense natin, parang walang game planning din on defense na nangyari. For most of the first to third quarters, we didn't know what pick and roll coverage we were running. And this is what frustrates me, Maui. Eh. The pick and roll is the most common play in basketball. I think you would agree. Diba?
Yeah.
It's the most common play in basketball. And parang hindi na pinag-usapan paano nila babantayan yung pick and roll. There were times na they switched, but they didn't know that they were supposed to switch. So CJ Perez or Chris Newsom would go with the ball handler, would leave the screener wide open. I think Lester Prosper got 2 or 3 threes just because we weren't communicating what we were gonna do with the pick and roll. Missed rotations. So many layups were given to Indonesia because we didn't know how to rotate. Like who was gonna take the driver, who was gonna take the dunker spot. Wala eh. Tas, you were nervous, Mau. Ako, I was angry. Galit na galit ako kasi ano nangyayari? Tinalo tayo ng Indonesia nung last SEA Games.
Tapos ganun pa rin preparation.
We look so ill-prepared to deal with them. And kudos to Indonesia. No? Aside from the fourth quarter, I think they thoroughly outplayed us the entire game. First to third quarter, sobrang outplayed tayo. Fourth quarter, just have to thank the miraculous shooting and unbelievable play of Justin Brownlee because he really carried us. But again, this overshadows the fact that we played horribly in this game, and we were lucky to make it to the finals. Any other thoughts, Maui?
I think we covered most of them. I'm really grateful for Justin Brownlee. Finally, at least we have a naturalized player that really wants to play for the Philippines, and I hope that we do not treat him as like trash. Parang ginawa natin kay Blatch and kay Doughtit. Hopefully, we embrace
That's
Justin
the problem,
Brownlee.
Maui. If Jordan Clarkson says he wants to play, Justin Brownlee is most likely gonna be sidelined.
Yeah, he's most probably gonna be sidelined for this. Mas lalo naman si Ange Kwame. But you gotta hand it to him. He really did this work. You saw how he struggled nung start ng SEA Games, and you saw how he finished. So I'm really grateful for him.
All right. Great point, no. But again, we cannot rely solely on a Justin Brownlee hero game each and every time. I mean, this happened also in Lebanon, Mao, nung last window ng World Cup, 'di ba? It's just yung niligtas lang tayo ni Justin Brownlee. And I don't think that that will work in the World Cup, no. Honestly. So let's move on to the next game, the finals versus Cambodia. This just happened yesterday. I wanted to get your thoughts, Maui. What were your thoughts on this game against Cambodia?
Actually, yung maganda sa game against Cambodia was you really saw a Gilas that was hungry. They wanted to prove that they can beat Cambodia. I was particularly very impressed with Chris Newsome, and I think that he might be one of the candidates to make
Agree,
it for the
agree.
FIBA World Cup. His size for the point guard slot is very good. He will be able to match up really well with opposing point guards. But if you have Newsome as the point guard, I hope we get more shooters. Definitely,
Yes.
probably a power forward who also
CJ
shoots from the
Perez is not the answer.
yeah, CJ Perez and Chris Newsome is not a good combo. Surprisingly, the Philippines was able to make a Chris Ross and Chris Newsome lineup work. I think Ganuelas Rosser also played a really good game. He had a very good SEA Games, but I think he's not eligible to play for Gilas. That for Gilas
Yes.
for FIBA. So that's another sour pill to stomach.
Swallow.
Yeah, to swallow. But yeah, I think again Justin Brownlee during the finals really did a masterful job. But unlike the game against Indonesia, other players stepped up. I think the Philippines had 3 or 4 players also in double figures, aside from Brownlee, and they really took control of the game. I think they led all throughout the game. I was only able to watch starting the second quarter, but they already led by double figures. Fortunately, we made the right adjustments at the right time. So when Cambodia made its
Yes.
run, we were able to withstand all these runs. I read shout out to Ryan Alba. He called the game. He called that the Philippines will win the game after the second half of the first game versus Cambodia. Um, I mean, one of his key points was really to for the Philippines to force Cambodia to play in the half court and limit the fast break opportunities. And you saw how Cambodia, with a bunch of naturalized players, parang wala yung puso. Wala yung puso sa
Yeah.
kanila. Parang kulang yung laban.
Also, I
Because,
think Maui, they look
yeah,
pretty tired.
yeah. Yung turnaround din kasi
I
ng
mean,
games, parang
silang anim na naglalaro the whole tournament. So,
yeah, in the turnaround of the games, I think they had a game much like Gilas. They had a game the day before. So if you have a 6-man rotation, they'd probably be burned out. I guess it worked for in favor of Gilas na we were playing at least a 10-man rotation. But yeah, I'm just happy that Gilas was able to clinch another SEA Games title. But this is expected. We mentioned the loss against Indonesia was a big upset before. The Philippines should be the kings of the Southeast Asian Games. So
yes.
this is expected. I guess, Gab, ang main reaction ko lang talaga is I was really disappointed with the way they reacted after they won the game. They taunted the Cambodia team. After our loss to Cambodia during the opening rounds, everyone was angry. Everyone was disappointed at how the Cambodia coach reacted. And Chris Ross, I have to call out Chris Ross and Coach Chot really had to showboat after the end of the game. They did the night. They Coach Chot did what the celebration of the Cambodian coach nung first game. And to think,
Crazy, no?
yeah, crazy. And I was really disappointed. Buti na lang na nung una kasi hindi niya kinamayan yung coach ng Cambodia. Buti na lang after a few moments kinamayan pa niya. So it's really disappointing how we have to act like this. I mean, they called out Cambodia, we call out Cambodia, but why did we have to act like them? But I'm happy that we got the SEA Games title back.
Okay, just want to bounce off some points you made, Mau. I'm glad you shouted out Brandon Ganuela's roster. If there was one player I think who was the unsung MVP of these two games, I think it was BGR. Especially in the game against Indonesia, I thought we would not be in the game at all coming into the fourth quarter if it weren't for Brandon Ganuela's roster. His energy,
Yeah.
every time sa tingin mo na lumalayo yung Indonesia nung game na yun, Brandon Ganuela's roster would get a big putback, will get a big rebound, get a big shot block, will make some free throws, and it's just so timely yung ginagawa niya. I mean, it was overshadowed syempre ni Justin Brownlee no fourth quarter, but Brandon Ganuela's roster I think was unsung MVP, and it was true also in the finals against Cambodia. I think he played really well. Made some big, again, just some big putbacks. Had a lot of big defensive plays, just excellent rotation. So, yun nga, no, yung sabi mo, kind of hard to swallow na he won't be able to play because we could use him sa World Cup.
Para siyang Divans.
A guy like him.
Parang
Oo.
Divans. Kamukha ni Divans actually. But he doesn't shoot threes. I don't think does he shoot threes?
He hasn't shown that he has that range yet, but I think he can. I mean, he has a mid-range, it's a little few feet out. I think he can. So, yeah, great point no kay BGR. Very impressed by him. And I'm also glad that you pointed out yung endgame antics ng Gilas. I think that's pretty uncalled for. Para lumalabas tayo yung pikon.
Yeah.
Diba? Diba? And that's kind of crazy. You won. You can be the better team. I mean, you don't have to freaking mock them in front of them. Kung if they want to trash talk, okay, you won already. Let sportsmanship reign. Yung be a better gentleman about it. I mean, you don't have to do that. Para sa akin, sobrang crazy and sobrang disappointing rin ako. Sobrang disappointed din ako, Mau, yung just like you that this had to happen. But onto the game, again, it seems like I hate a lot on Coach Chot, but now I would give Coach Chot some flowers. I thought he made some pretty good adjustments coming off the Indonesia game. Their pick and roll coverage was better. Not good, but better. They weren't as confused as they were in the Indonesia game. I thought they were the aggressors, both on offense and on defense. They were better in rotating to their man on defense. They were able to sort of shut down Peterson, that big guy they had in Cambodia. So they were able to put double teams on him, just sag the paint whenever he got the ball. So I was pretty happy with how they did that. I was also pretty happy with how they executed on offense. Sasabi mo nga, Mau, I think Chris Newsom played a hell of a game. He was attacking on offense. And I think he took advantage of some tired legs from Cambodia. It was pretty weird to me that they were going under the pick and roll when Chris Newsom was in the mid-range. Didn't you guys scout Chris Newsom? He just loves to take mid-range shots and get to the basket. He does not shoot threes a lot. And yeah, Chris Newsom took advantage of that. Justin Brownlee you took advantage of that. And even CJ Perez to at some point, was able to drive to the basket. And Cambodia did not have the will to win this game. I also thought that they looked tired. They didn't rotate on defense as much, which is why we got a lot of layups and paint points. And I was happy with how they played. I thought it was better. The offense is still not good. Again, it's a lot of let's give Justin Brownlee the ball in the wing, and then let's clear it out for him. Again, we can't play like that. I don't think we can play like that. But overall, I
Practice na
was
raw.
happy. Again,
Para kay Clarkson, pare. Pagdating ni Clarkson, bigay mo kay Clarkson, bahala ka na. Parang nung natalo tayo sa
wala.
FIBA. It's crazy.
Yeah. So we'll get to that later, Maui.
Yeah.
So what this means for FIBA. But before, let's move on to a different topic. Aside from the games, let's move on to the UAP players. We are a UAAP podcast, so let's shine some light on the three UAAP players who played in the SEA Games. So, what did you think of Jerome Lastimosa, Mike Phillips, and even Mason Amos in the limited minutes he got?
Yeah, I think si Jerome Lastimosa really showed that he's one of the best point guards in the Philippines. I think this is his audition to get into the KBL or potentially the B League. He played really well. He was in control.
Yeah,
He didn't act like he was a rookie. I think this is one of the first, if not probably Lastimosa has played very minimal international games. And he played really well. And I think it really goes to show rin also yung offense din kasi ni Chot Reyes is still the dribble drive. It's heavily reliant on the point guards. And Lastimosa really showed that he belongs. As far as him making the FIBA World Cup, I don't think he's gonna make it. The point guard and shooting guard slot is one of the most loaded positions in the Philippines. But with regards to Mason Amos, I'll go first to Mason Amos. I was a bit disappointed that he wasn't getting a lot of minutes, considering he made the team for the FIBA World, yung qualifiers. So I thought that he was gonna get a lot of minutes, a lot more minutes than he got when he played for yung sa FIBA World qualifiers. Unfortunately, they went another direction, but it was really great to see Mike Phillips. And I hope that Mike Phillips eventually gets to play for Gilas sa FIBA. Hopefully, he gets the same treatment as Maverick Anmisi and Chris Newsome. If he stays in the Philippines for the next 2 years, he'll probably get an exception and he'll be able to play for FIBA, for the Philippines, for FIBA. I think that he would slot in very well as the four-man or probably a backup big man for Gilas. Hopefully, he continues to develop his game. It's not the same Mike Phillips dominant rebounder we saw in the UAAP. He struggled with bigger players and stronger players. Yung hands ni Mike Phillips is one of his main strengths during the UAAP. But I think this is one of his weaknesses. Nung if you watch both games, there were some rebounds that he wasn't able to corral. But yeah, this is a very positive showing for Mike Phillips, especially since I think it's international debut also sa national team, and hopefully he gets he'll be able to get a legit clearance for FIBA in the future, because the future is bright for Mike Phillips. I think we here in Boleros are very high on Mike Phillips. We hope he develops more. We hope he gets an offensive game because his defense and rebounding is already top notch.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of your points, Mao. Same observations, no. On Jerome, same observations. I thought he was pretty composed. Actually, I thought he could have shot the ball more. There were some shots he passed up. I thought, Jerome, take those shots. You're wide open. You have an open lane. Take it to the basket. Ang daming times na ganun eh. But sobrang impressed ako kay Jerome. He was the smallest guy on the floor and he was beating Americans or Cambodian Americans. More than a foot taller than him to the basket. He was excellent shooting the ball. I thought he should have played more, honestly, with his shooting, just to go along, just to open up the lane for Justin Brownlee. But yeah, Jerome, impressive. Can't say anything more. He was so good. And even worked hard on defense. Yeah, he had a few block shots. which was pretty impressive for a guy his size, di ba? And battling against much bigger players than him. So impressed with Jerome. To Mike Phillips, good exposure, a good debut. He was battling on defense, and that's all you have to ask for Mike Phillips. He's not much of an offensive player. He still has to develop that part of his game, but defensively, he was solid. He guarded Lester Prosper and Peterson for big chunks of both games, and he held his own. He had some tiki-tack fouls that I think he could have lessened, but overall, he was pretty solid. And Mason Amos, ako talaga sayang eh. Because he brings a need. It's like Coach Chot and anyone on the coaching staff is not watching the game. He's a shooter. We need shooting. We need spacing on the floor. Diba? And I don't know, just put him in there. Just let him stand and, be a threat. Really questionable decision. I really question why you would even put Mason Amos in the lineup and not use him despite his obvious skill being needed by the team. Sayang talaga. This was a wasted opportunity for Mason Amos. Much like with LeBron Lopez in last SEA Games, I thought
Yeah,
he just
exactly.
mainly got some
Exactly.
garbage time lang yung nilaro niya nung last SEA Games. At he
Yeah.
didn't really get any experience from it.
Tsaka Gab, just to add lang about Mason Amos, you guys know I'm biased, but much like LeBron Lopez, I would have wanted Mason Amos to get the exposure just because he is one of those players, young players that are eligible for FIBA all tournaments. Not just FIBA pala, kasi FIBA is the hardest to be eligible. So he's eligible to play for the national team at any event. So I wanted to see him play more, much like I wanted to see LeBron Lopez play more before, just to get the exposure because they are the future players of our national team.
That's a pretty good point, Mao. He's actually one of the few players on this team that's eligible to play in the FIBA World Cup.
Yeah.
And yung binabad natin, yung mga players na hindi eligible maglaro sa FIBA World Cup.
Ganun ka, I guess it really shows how desperate we were also to win and how hard it was for us to win. If you guys tuned in before sa Southeast Asian Games, there were times that they sent Ateneo plus a few college players. I remember they sent before Ateneo, Norman Blacks, 5-feet Ateneo plus Alex Nuiles and a few top college players. So it's crazy how now we have to send many Phil foreigners, not even eligible for Gilas, just to represent the Philippines. And at the same time, we still have a very hard time, unlike before, when we just ran over the tournament.
All right. And that's a pretty good transition now to our last topic. There were some statements by Coach Strott after this game he was saying that this was his last SEA Games that he was going to coach. And he did mention that he wanted to make it a developmental team that would play in the SEA Games the next time around. What were your thoughts on that, Maui?
Well, for me kasi yung SEA Games talaga should be a preparation for FIBA. I mean, when you talk about when you talk about football, you talk about the World Cup. When you talk about basketball, it's all about FIBA and the Olympics. Getting that gold medal or in the Philippines case, just qualifying for the World Cup and qualifying for the Olympics. So I think the SEA Games should really have been about development. But unfortunately, we don't have that. We don't have that advantage that we used to have when we could have sent players for development. Players who were non-pros like Kiefer Ravena, Terdy Ravena, even sila Nico Salva, Greg Slaughter, Alex Nuiles, were able to experience. Even si Troy Rosario was able to experience that before, but right now we don't have that luxury. But I hope that we do focus on development when it comes to SEA Games. I was hoping that we should have gone that direction, especially since the World Cup is coming. This should have been a training ground, a practice for the squad that was going to go to the FIBA World in August. So I think that I'm a bit disappointed that you mentioned, Gab, that most of the players that played for the Philippines in the SEA Games won't be even be eligible for the World Cup. So it's a bit disappointing to me that it had to come to that way.
Yeah. So disappointed. But as for Coach Chot not coaching this team, I I don't want to be mean, but thank God. let's let's show more preparation for the SEA Games at least. I mean, one of our subscribers did comment in her last video that it would have been better if we didn't need to get all these pros, to play in the SEA Games. Maybe just play yung a developmental team, young players from college, and yung and I think kaya naman ng mga players if you only gave them a bit more preparation time. I really think kaya ng mga young players natin in the
Pare
country,
si Tab Baldwin nga, 'di ba, with all those college players, non-pros. We were able to go head to head with European juggernauts like Serbia, and I think Italy was one of those teams. We just need to really prepare earlier, I think. And we for me, we have to use this as development of players also. Hindi talaga, I mean, we're not Team USA. We can't prepare a team 2 weeks before the event. Even Team USA lose games that they prepare 2 weeks before the event. They learned that the hard way. We should not prepare 2 weeks or a month before the event. We should be like those European teams that have been playing for like a decades, like France, like Lithuania, like Sabonis was playing under 14 and he's still playing until now. Yung iba teammates na since under 14. Teams like Slovenia have been playing for the longest time. And it's disappointing to me na every time na lang may event, we scramble to make up a team. We scramble to prepare and have trainings. And I have to say this, it's a bit disappointing that a player such as Sonny Winston, one of the brightest players, non-professional players, wanted to train with Gilas, but from what I've heard and read, he wasn't permitted to even attend training, so it's a bit disappointing. I don't know what that message what the message of that was, what it sends to future prospects for the national team.
Great way to end that topic, Mau, and great way to end this podcast. Again, SEA Games is done. Yes, we won the gold and we're pretty happy about it, but there are a lot of lessons to be learned from the SEA Games. To our subscribers, to anyone watching, let us know your thoughts in the comments. What did you think of the SEA Games? What lessons do you think Gilas should learn? MVP was angry that we lost to Cambodia. Hopefully, that's a start of something.
Grabe nga yun.
Sana magising yung SVP and yung upper management ng national team because we really want to perform in the World Cup. But with how we're preparing, how we're playing, mukhang walang mangyayari sa World
3
Cup.
months to
It's
go.
not like we're just
3 months to go, bro. 3 months to go.
Yeah, and we're not even training for it. Diba? So that's crazy to me. But yeah, we'll end it there. Again, like, subscribe, and share the Boleros podcast. We'll do more content in the next couple of weeks. We'll try to focus more again on the UAAP and the upcoming season. So see you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.